Hey YouTube, and welcome to Project Apocalypse 2020, wherein I try to finish up a lot of little half-done projects I've had sitting around forever, mostly to free up space. This is cosplay spring cleaning, I guess. Something I was trying to do before everybody started getting severely incentivized to stay inside. I don't get to do that though. I'm necessary. What was that? What was that term people were using? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's the nicest thing the federal government has ever said about me. Anyway, so Borderlands is a series of games that I've played with the same group of guys since they came out. You know, 1, 2, pre-sequel. Didn't like the pre-sequel as much. And 3. And I've always kind of had it in the back of my mind that eventually I wanted to do some kind of Borderlands project. Um, didn't want to tape my fingers together to be Zero though, and I didn't want to make a fake muscle suit to be Krieg. Maybe I'll do a Zane costume. But of course, the first step to that would be making a gun. You know, so you've got the key prop to kind of pull you through the rest of the project. Um, and in Borderlands 3, I have used more than anything else Jacob's weapons. Hopefully, I've got this done soon enough to please the YouTube algorithm with the release of the newest DLC. Now, my setup wasn't great for recording every step of the way on this, but I documented it as best I can when my workshop is a desk in a hallway. So I started with a Nerf hammer shot, a gun that I've got a lot of affection for. There's a lot about the design that I like. Primarily, since I'm a guy with big hands, I can fire it one-handed. I was going to say with that sound if I broke one of those glasses. Oh, it landed in the Bruce Wayne shot glass. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. But if I'd broke that glass, I would have been very sad. There's no way I'm getting another one of those. Anyway, so I can fire it one-handed. Gimmicky demonstration. Anyway, I like the hammer shot. There's a lot I like about the shape of it. But of course, for doing a Jacob's Borderlands mod, I had to do the version with all the bells and whistles added. The Bowie knife, bayonet, the scope, the bullets on the side, the whole shebang. So to start out with the paint job, it was pretty straightforward. Black spray primer, and then I coated it with, shoot, should have wrote that down, oil rubbed bronze spray paint. I've used the same color on other projects and kind of couldn't like go out to the store to buy more spray paint. I mean, you know, at least I shouldn't. But I like the color anyway. It blends well with the polished nickel I added onto it. And if I do really start weathering that paint job down, starting from a slightly warm color will give me more room to play around with that. And on top of that, since it is a Jacobs gun, I went through and looked through as much reference as I could. For a while, my in-game bank storage was just clogged with Jacobs pistols that I was saving for reference. And this was back before they upped the storage, so yeah, that was rough. But I found I can't remember what the page was, but it was some of like the in-game concept art for Jacobs guns, and was looking through all those. And they do a little bit with like metallic blues, so I added a subtle dark metallic blue to this kind of I don't know, that T-shaped thing on the Nerf gun. And then, you know, gold for the hammer and the trigger, you know, echoed in the bullet casings that I spray painted that color. And it, all in all, gave it like a really pretty diverse paint job. Like, it is more colorful than I was afraid it was going to be. When I started this, I was afraid it was going to end up just like black and silver. But I worked in enough like variants from, you know, gold to silver. That all in all, it's really visually pleasing. So on top of that, you know, I used gunmetal for the screws and for the back side of the handle. The gun also has a nice built-in wood grain on the front of the handle. So I went through on that, and I started out with a base coat of caramel candy. I didn't name it. And then after that, it was an antique maroon, which left it a little bit more purple than I wanted. But after I added the burnt umber on top of it, that brought everything exactly where I wanted it. Where it's just a slightly like reddish wood, very satisfying. I'm really happy with how the wood turned out on that. I think that's about it for the paint job. So the first thing I did when I was modifying it was I took a rotary tool and sanded off the any Nerf logos or anything. I didn't completely sand it smooth. I mostly just got it flat to where anything I put on top of it wasn't going to have to go over a bump. And then on top of that, I put this stuff, which I've talked about in other videos. It's facade sink backsplash tiles. They're like these 1 foot square pieces of really metallic plastic. And they're just really versatile for anything for cosplay. Just about anything that's not metal that you want to look like metal. These are, a nice solid solution for any of that. And then I simply drilled a really teeny tiny hole in the gun and then added these fancy brads. A lot of this is just like the exact same stuff I used for my Thor costume. Didn't want to go out and buy more stuff, so I'm just like using what I had on hand. And it turned out pretty well. On top of that, again, Thor costume leftovers. The filigree I put on this is the same sheet of fancy scrapbooking stickers that I used for the knotwork on the edge of the round metal things on Thor's armor. Turned out really well. So the bullets on the side was pretty straightforward. That just started out as a block of wood that I covered in fake leather, just a vinyl, just glued it on all 4 sides, and then took a strip of actual leather and sewed on the strip holding all these bullets on. Now the bullets themselves, I pick up a lot of stuff after Halloween's over. Just like I go through the clearance aisles and I grab anything worth having. And one of the things I got was a bandolier of assault rifle bullets. Just like, they'll come in handy at some point. So that's what I used here. But of course, since this is a pistol, not an assault rifle, I had to cut the bullets off, and then I replaced them with the heads of old beat-up Nerf darts. Doesn't look 100% right. The bullets are definitely wider than the casings, which I'm pretty sure is not how bullets work. But, I mean, it's a Nerf gun, so I feel like the sympathy, simpatico, like the similarity, using the thing that it's actually going to shoot, probably serves it well. Then, the hammer shot has, that's the one thing I really don't like about the hammer shot is that beautiful handle has this molded plastic cloth wrapping on it, and it's just like, man, that handle would just be so pretty without that, which of course they're going for the whole zombie apocalypse thing on that. So I covered that with the same fake leather. Turned out all right. The scope came from a kit that came with like a fake little gun, a fake little grenade, a fake little walkie-talkie, and a knife that I got at Dollar General. This is the gun. So I just pulled the scope off of that. Rotary tooled a couple holes for it in the top rail of the Nerf gun, and it sits there really quite nicely. Because I didn't want to get anything like too big. Initially, I was looking at some Nerf scopes to use for this, but they were just too chonky. And then for the ends on the scope, there were these little blue, like game token pieces I've had floating around that were pretty much exactly the right size. See, I'm not a hoarder because I use it. I just happen to have a very large selection of crap for someone who lives in an apartment this size. And then the knife, which is of course a rubber knife to keep with the Nerf gun ethos of it being it's a play gun. It's perfectly safe. Unfortunately, it's got a little bit of a wobble to it. I tried a couple different fake plastic knives. I didn't quite find anything I was happy with. Then I bought this rubber knife off Amazon, and it followed the curve of I don't know. It looked pretty good. There was something missing though. Once I took the one hole in the base of the blade and hooked it around one of the screw posts in the front of the gun, there was just this gap there. And for another project I'm working on, which you'll see later, I had a bunch of stuff that I'm gonna, kit bash on that. And one of the things was the bottom of the hull of a model battleship. And I just plunked it right on there, and it fit perfectly, which does a really nice job of just kind of, bringing all that together and giving that a nice silhouette with very little modification. Just one of those, that'll work. I think that mostly covers it. So the one last thing I did, since in Borderlands 3, they give you the option of adding a little dangle onto your gun, and of course the hammer shot had the perfect space to put that. And I decided to use the one I use in game because Zero was my guy in Borderlands 2. I used the I can't remember what it's called in game, but it's Zero's logo. I took the handle of a red plastic sled. It's one of those sleds that looks like it's just barely not a shovel. I took the handle and I cut a little square of plastic out of it. Took the Dremel tool and then cut the zero out of that. The inside being the tricky part. Turned out pretty well. Again, expect to see the rest of that shovel later. But yeah, no, it was nice. It was a nice, quick, pretty easy project. Simple, just kind of something to get all these bits and bobs I had lying around out of the way. Again, limited workspace, so any half-finished project is just an albatross around my neck right now. Man, yeah, no, that's just the way it is right now. And unfortunately, I'd love to polish this video more, but work has got me pretty worn out right now. I know, I'm whining. My job's, yeah, no, it's fine. It's been a while since I posted something, so I at least wanted to get some kind of video out. I'll share videos of the other little projects I'm working on. They won't be real polished. I get off of work and I've only got limited time and limited energy. I mean, this is already my 5th take on this one. I don't feel like doing 12. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for your time. I hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe. I'll see you guys around. Online. Because not saying online makes that sound real creepy.